So originally, this was going to be a quick smack talk video for my weekly opponent. But this week's feud goes a little bit deeper, because this week, I'm playing against the commissioner, who during this offseason proposed to the league to eliminate kickers as a position for our fantasy teams. Let that sink in for a second. No kickers. Now, some of your gut reactions might be, yeah, great, screw them, who cares? And it's impossible for me to tell you how wrong you are without a slideshow, just a So, why are kickers so important? They're a crucial part of the history of the game. I was able to visit the Football Hall of Fame last week, and I came away with an even greater appreciation of kickers than I had before. Place kickers have been kicking around the league since the beginning of this game we love. There have been 5 kickers already enshrined in the Hall of Fame. And there's going to be another obvious addition as soon as Justin Tucker retires. There are retired kicker jerseys, such as number 3 of this player for the Kansas City Chiefs. And honestly, this is one of the weaker arguments. Just because they're a historical part of the game doesn't really mean that it's a good part of the game necessarily, right? But there is a legacy here that I think we should appreciate at the very minimum. I already knew that the top scorers in the league were NFL kickers, but I didn't just know how deep that rabbit hole went until I started looking at the stats. Sure, there's definitely something to be said that these are the kind of players who have longer careers and therefore can accumulate more points. You really see a kicker with a CTE injury because they're not really tackling. They're supposed to stay out of the way. Generally speaking, I'm going to post to a video down below that has awesome highlights of kickers making good tackles. But that being said, these guys are gaining experience. It should be easier to analyze the players that are good kickers, so drafting them is not as much of a headache as everyone thinks. There's the factors such as playing in a dome, playing on a good offensive team. It's a lot, I think, more reasonable to expect points from a kicker than it is for a defense. So if you propose to just kick kickers, you might as well just propose to kick defenses. Because look at the table over there. They're about the same. Kickers actually outperform defenses on total points. Now, I don't know the standard deviation from the average kicker to the extents of the ranges, but I'm pretty sure they're about similar on a week-to-week basis. Just look at this dude, Morton Anderson. 25 seasons in the NFL. And for reference, Tom Brady only has 23. He was the all-time points leader. And now, it's gone to Vinatieri. The only non-kicker in total points in the NFL in the top 50 is Jerry frickin' Rice at number 41. Jerry frickin' Rice. Everyone else is a kicker. And the next 4 names you're going to find on that list of top scoring points are Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Randy Moss, and Terrell Owens. They all fall within the top 75, I believe. Just amazing. Kickers score points. Competitive balance. Look, I know it's hard to maintain bench spots during the year to cover injuries, have options for bye weeks, and try to hold on some lottery ticket players or handcuffs. But that's the point of the freaking game we play. It's not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to antagonize over these decisions. If you want to do this stuff, you might as well get rid of kickers and defenses and just play best ball every single time. Maybe it's recency bias that I don't have any injured player this year, so far. But I do know how it feels to keep a CMC, a Jordy Nelson, or an Adrian Foster. Some years is cruel and unfair, but that's just the nature of the beast. And lastly, how can you ignore the memories that kickers give us? Here's a little sneak peek of a memory I plan to tell you about soon. But before I get to there, I started playing fantasy football in 2007. A buddy of mine had a last-minute drop out of his 12-man league, and he's like, Albert, please, just jump on. It's easy. The computer will do all the work. We'll help you out. Don't worry. It'll be fun. I didn't know the rules of football at that point. I knew something about 10 yards and touchdowns being 6 points. But that was about it. Through fantasy football, I learned the game. I loved it. I got second place, I think, because I got lucky drafting Tom Brady and Randy Moss together during their 18-1 season. But besides that core memory of those 2 drafts, the other thing that sticks out in my very first fantasy football season is Rob Baronis's 8 field goal, 2 extra point game that scored him 29 points in week 7 that happened to kick that completely destroyed his opponent that week, who was winning up until that point, and all that was left was a kicker. I think it was all 1 o'clock games, because I remember being out at the bar for this, and we were eating wings and just laughing our butts off. It was amazing. So how can you tell me that kickers are not important? How can you get rid of kickers? I'd sooner add defensive players and deal with that nonsense than I would get rid of kickers from this league. It was wild. It was wild. It was historic. It was a memory. Can't get rid of that. And so, in conclusion, kickers should be here to stay. If you don't know how to deal with them, that's a you problem, not a me problem. It's time to show you who's going to win this week. 100%. I think I nailed it. Enjoy.